Fences are extremely important in our life. They create a barrier, a protective barrier around the things that we consider to be important and special and dear to us. Over the years, the government has created barriers around various things. For example, the barrier around electricity was created because it was owned and operated by the government. It seemed to be a right for everyone so that the country folk and the city folk would both have the opportunity of having electricity over time. But in recent years, the government has decided to remove the barriers, to change the boundaries. So they privatised either by selling or leasing the assets that produce electricity. As a result of that, we have seen electricity prices go through the roof. They told us that competition would drive down prices. The reality is, competition has driven them up. The reason behind it is simple. We removed an essential fence. Look, there are people who will tell me today that they pay electricity bill which is extremely small by comparison to others. In other words, some people will pay a 3-monthly bill under $150 for 3 months for a family of 4. And yet some other people with a family of 4 can be paying $600, $700 or $800. The why is because the one that gets the cheaper one has the greater skill to negotiate. Is that wise? Is that what it's all about? Let's have a look at the competition associated with electricity. We have one set of wires coming into our house on one transmission line throughout the country. All it is, the competition, is where the feed-in occurs. And it really isn't much of a competition because at the end of the day, anybody that produces electricity must sell it. It is pointless to them keeping it. And hence, they must take on offer what is there. So where is the competition? Somebody comes along and can supply X amount of electricity at a certain time, and they might get a better price than somebody else, but they're only supplying the same thing. But when we have a look back at what the government has suggested that we do, that is, we put solar panels on our roof and we create excess supply and we can actually feed that back into the electricity grid. What do we get paid for that? A pittance by comparison to what it costs us. So when we produce excessive power during the days of plenty of light, and we feed that into the grid, and we want to draw back during the night when there is no solar panels to operate that are going to produce electricity, we pay a huge marginal difference. Where is the competition in that? You see, the free market, which was the saviour of the whole reason that the government decided they want to sell things, the free market can only deliver cheap and effective price cuts if there are boundaries, and those boundaries must be there to protect the consumer. We have no boundaries to protect the consumer. The only boundary that we have, the only fence in place we have, is either you use electricity that you produce yourself or you pay what you are told to pay. That's the end of the story. There is no fence to protect the rise of prices. There is a fence to protect the capacity to ever increase price rises. Thank you. I'm Milton Kane, Christian Democratic Party.